everybody, it's Kelsee Briana J here with a review and demonstration using the new Anastasia dip brow gels. And in this video I want to overview this new product from Anastasia as well as give you swatches of all of them. I'm going to try on each one on my brows and I'm going to give you guys an updated brow routine. First things first, let's talk about the new products. Like I said, these are called the dip brow gels. These retail for $18 and there are 11 different brow gels. So you guys may recognize the name dip brow from the pomade that Anastasia has, which is super famous. Most of us have heard of that. Now she's taken a part of that formula and turned it into a gel. So let me read you guys the description of this product. Straight from Anastasia's website, it says Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Gel is a highly pigmented brow gel with a long-lasting waterproof formula for creating fuller looking defined brows. Like dip brow pomade in a gel form, dip brow gel is a real brow filler that delivers full coverage with rich color payoff. The unique formula adheres to brow hairs, builds the appearance of fullness, and dries down to a seamless matte finish. So the formulation of this brow gel is waterproof and it also claims to last for 12 hours. So you use this directly from the container, unlike the original dip brow pomade, which requires a brush. This one actually has a spoolie applicator, so you're able to apply it directly to your brow hairs and it's supposed to add volume. So what I like about this is that it doesn't give that really crunchy hold that some brow gels can give. This one has a soft hold, but it definitely molds your brow hairs into place. This has a very small wand to fit on your brow hairs, but if you have extremely small brow hairs, I would say go in very light-handedly and be careful with it because it does add the color. But regardless of how much brow hair you have, you can still use it. And on the contrary, if you have a lot of brow hair, I would go in very sparingly because you don't want to overwhelm the brow. So go in very lightly to just mold it and gel it down, but don't glob it on because this product really can go there because it's pretty saturated. So like I said, there are 11 different colors in this formulation, and the colors of the dip brow gel correlate with the colors of the dip brow pomade. So I'm going to read off the colors and the descriptions of the colors, and then I'll insert the clip of me demonstrating each color on my brows. Even though some of the colors don't match my brows, I have a medium deep brow color, so some of the colors really turned my brows a different color, and some of them don't look that good on my complexion, but it's for demonstration purposes. So in order from Anastasia's website, I'm going to start off with blonde, and blonde is for blonde hair with warm gold undertones. And next we have the color Taupe. This one is also described as a color for blonde hair with cool/ash undertones. Next we have the color Soft Brown, which is described as the color for light brown hair with warm/cool undertones. Now this is a color that I use a lot, and I started using this color when I had blonde hair, but I still will occasionally if I want my brow hairs to be a little bit lighter, just to give a little bit of a different effect. Next we have the color Medium Brown, and this is described as a color for medium brown hair with cool/ash undertones, and I actually have this color on my brows now, and as you guys can see, it gave a brightened effect on my brows and it made them look a little bit more warm than they typically do. I have pretty dark brows, and so sometimes I like colors like this just to brighten, like I was saying about Soft Brown, but this one is just a little bit darker and not as intense as Soft Brown, so I like it. Next, we have the color Caramel, and this one is described as a color for people with red hair with a light undertone. But again, this is something that I use all the time on my complexion. It has more so of a neutral appearance once you put it on the brows, but I actually use Caramel Brow Wiz as well quite frequently if I want my brows to be a little bit lighter. Next, we have the color Auburn, which is described as a color for red hair with a dark undertone. And boy, oh boy, is this for red hair, because this is very rich in tone and it definitely lives up to the name Auburn. Next, we have the color Chocolate, which is described as a color for medium brown hair with warm/golden undertones. My go-to color for my brow wiz is chocolate, but the chocolate in this formulation is a little bit too dark for my personal preference. Chocolate in brow wiz is a little bit lighter, but I feel like the tone of this color chocolate matches with the pomade's color chocolate, which I don't use that color in the pomade either because, again, I think it's a little bit too dark for my complexion. The 4 remaining colors are too dark for my complexion, so I don't use these colors, but I would say if you have very dark brows or if you have a deeper complexion, these colors may be suited best for you. We have the color Dark Brown, which is described as a color for people with dark brown hair with a warm undertone. Next, we have the color Ebony, and this is described as a color for black hair with a warm undertone. Next, we have the color Ash Brown, which is a color that's recommended for people who have gray hair with cool/ash undertones. And lastly, I have the color Granite, which is described as a color for people with black hair with cool undertones. So now I'm going to show you guys how I do my brows using my Anastasia products and a mini updated brow routine. So the first thing that I'm going to do is brush out my brow hairs, and I like to make them go up first. So I like to get them pretty straight, and then I kind of curve them downwards. So I may have to do this a few times depending on how my brow hairs are behaving that day. Right now they're pretty unruly, so I'm gonna just keep brushing it until I feel like they're straight. Now I'm gonna take my Ride or Die Brow Wiz. Love Brow Wiz forever and ever. And this one is in the color Chocolate. So what I'm gonna do is lightly trace, and I'm holding the pencil so far down and using it so I will apply a lesser pressure point. I'm gonna just go right on the edge of my brow on the bottom and create a base for it. So essentially I just shaded a brow structure. And then I go on top and I do the exact same thing. So I'm not going too far outside of how my brows already are. When I get out here, this is where I have to draw the most. So I'm just kind of creating a curve and then bringing it downwards. Because my other brow kind of grows like that, so I like to make the other one match. So I create like this roundish shape. Then bring it downwards to connect with the tail. So then I like to go in from the bottom and draw brow hairs. So I'm just creating the illusion of a fuller brow. And what I like about the brow is that it's so thin and it's the same color as my brow hairs, so it looks pretty natural. But I just go in and basically draw brow hairs. You guys can see my brow hairs. They give that curve, so you want to draw at a curve like how your brow hairs go. Also, in between that, I like to go back in and brush it out, and then I'll reassess where I need more products. So I still have a bit of a space here. That's too much space. I'm gonna go in there and kind of fill this area back in. I want to keep it to where it looks realistic, so you're going to see space, but I don't want to see that much space. Also, I'm leaving this area blank because I feel like the less product that you have in the front, the more natural your brow is going to look. So I focus on the back end of the brow first. If I feel like it, I'll go in with a little bit, very, very lightly in the front, just to make this area a little bit fuller too. So sometimes I like to emphasize that, and I'll brush it out that way, just to emphasize the bushiness of them, depending on how I feel. Or if I want it to look more polished, then I'll just push them backwards. Nonetheless, I'll go in from the bottom to the top and draw straight up, because that's how those brow hairs grow in the front. So you can leave it like this. This looks like the more natural approach. Sometimes I just leave it, especially if I feel like it looks as good as this. But sometimes I do go in with a little bit of concealer. My concealer preference, as you guys can see, I use it a lot, is the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. This one is in the color Ginger. It's like a super small brush. This is a Wayne Goss 08 brush. And with a very little bit of product, I go right against that line, just to add a little bit more definition. I actually have too much product on my brush, so I took some off because this is very creamy. So just a very little bit. I kind of drag it outwards. I don't take any additional products, but I just drag this little bit that I have here downwards. And then I go in with an eyeshadow blending brush and just blend that concealer down. Typically I do this when I don't have on any other eye makeup, so I just take it all the way down and just make sure that that product is diffused so you don't see any concealer. If you need to go on top with the concealer, I just take the same brush and do the same thing and just blend it out. For the last step, I like to go in with the brow gel just to keep these brow hairs secured. So I'm gonna go in with medium brown. And this gives color, and I already have color, so very lightly go in, and I kind of used a little much. Go in very light-handedly with this to secure the brow hairs. And also be aware that this adds color. I'm gonna go in with a spoolie with no additional products and just kind of work it out. And this is it, guys. This is how I do my brows on a regular basis, and I feel like this method works for me. I feel like they look full and natural, and I love the dip brow gel. I feel like it gives a little bit more oomph in areas, but just be light-handed with it so you don't cover up too much of that space. You can still get a very beautiful natural brow. Okay guys, so I hope that that was helpful for anyone who was kind of curious on what color they needed to get in the Dip Brow Gel formula. And I hope that my updated brow routine was helpful for anyone. I have a brow video that I did a few years ago, which is still relevant because I still use those techniques. It's a longer brow video. I will have it linked in the video as well as down below. And I've always loved Anastasia brow products. They are my favorites. And this new addition is no exception. I love this. It is a learning curve to this though. Once you understand how to go in light-handedly with it, I feel like you'll get really beautiful results. I love how you can use this by itself and create the illusion of fuller brows and give your brows a little bit of a tint. So depending on the type of look you want to go for, you can go with a darker color or a lighter color. It'll instantly tint your brows, which is really cool. Plus, I love the applicator of this. It's super small, so you can get in there and really comb out those brow hairs. But the trick is to go in very light-handedly, like you guys saw in the demonstration. If you go in with too much pressure, you're going to apply too much product and it's going to leave you with an unnatural looking brow. So the lighter handed you can be, the better results you're going to get. But I love these. It holds my brows in place. It gives me a nice tint, and I feel like it really polishes off the look. I love the range of colors that they have. I feel like they'll suit a variety of hair colors. If you have tried these, let me know your experience with them, and I will talk to you guys in my very next video. Smooches! Bye.